BuzzFeed has announced that they'll be using AI to enhance their online quizzes and journal content. So far, this announcement has blasted off their stock by about 150%. So I guess these days you should just mention that your company will be using AI in some sort of a way and you'll just make tons of money. Also, totally unrelated to this, I've actually used AI to help me make this video, so you should definitely follow because you should. Now, I think this makes a lot of sense because ChatGPT, which is what they'll be using, is quite great at summarizing content, making quizzes, and that sort of a thing. But for some, this is also raising ethical questions about the potential replacement of human jobs and the use of AI in journalistic institutions. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, like I said, this makes a lot of sense because ChatGPT is really great at just processing a whole load of information and just presenting it to you in a pretty nice summary way or an article or something like that. And I also think that any journalistic institutions that will not be adopting AI in this sort of a way in the next decade will sort of just fade into unexistence, because the thing is, using AI to write you an article is just way more efficient. For instance, if you need to make an article about a book, I assume, because they're going to be working with OpenAI, is that they're going to have some sort of an industrial version of OpenAI that you are actually going to be able to feed like a whole PDF book or something like that. And then you are just going to go get a coffee, and when you come back, you are just going to have an article ready, you are going to have a summarization ready, you are going to have a quiz ready, and it's going to be pretty great. And I can speak from experience. Sometimes I just feed articles into OpenAI and tell it to make me a 1-minute video summary script for these videos, for the scripted portion at the start, because it just helps a lot. It usually does a pretty okay job, but then I go in and I see, okay, I need to add this, I need to remove this, and then I need to add some more human flair on top of that, I guess. But it just really helps because it sort of gets you over that initial hump of like starting a project. Like, for instance, when I read an article, I'm just like, there's so much information and I just need to fit this in a script that's gonna be in a video that's under a minute long. And the AI, of course, doesn't make mistakes all that often in terms of this sort of a thing. In terms of programming, it makes plenty of mistakes all the time, but in terms of like actual summarization, it really doesn't make that many mistakes, not to mention that humans make mistakes all the time anyway. So something like this is just gonna be way more efficient, because if you are gonna be a news establishment and maybe you have 20 writers, you are literally going to be able to let go of half of your team, add in AI, and you are probably going to be putting out at least double the content that you were before, just because of how much speed you actually gain. So I'm not saying this is a good thing. It's definitely going to get rid of a lot of jobs. There are going to be a few new jobs created for like IT admins that are going to need to manage all of that GPU hardware for these actual AI systems. But again, it's only going to be a fraction of the jobs that are going to be created from all of these jobs that people lose, essentially. Not to mention that if you are a journalist, you probably can't just switch into being an IT admin. So like I said before, I'd be really interested to see what a lot of you might think. Would you mind AI writing your articles? But the thing is, we probably won't even know when an article is written by an AI, and it just makes a ton of sense for these companies because they're going to be able to reduce their workforce, they're going to be able to up their content, and they're going to be able to make more money, which is what companies care about.